wasn't perfect, it wasn't pretty, but for a franchise that has historically been bad in primetime games and a quarterback that has echoed that feat, the Minnesota Vikings won a primetime game Thursday night against let's say a horrible Redskins team, but never the case. We beat in double digits, 19-9. So let's talk about starting off with the offensive side of the ball. That a little bit of an empty calorie day for them. A lot of yards put up, looked like a lot of good players, but only 19 points isn't a lot. But Kirk Cousins only missed 3 balls today, 23 completions on 26 attempts, and 2 of those were throwaways. So a very, very good day for Kirk Cousins. 285 yards, 11 average is huge. 3 sacks, 12 yards. Our offensive line against at best underperforming and had itself a day type of a Redskins defense. That's a game where you'd like the offensive line to really just show up, but not so much in this one. But whatever the case, it was still pretty good. Cousins showed pretty solid awareness still, and in times where he could have taken a sack, he stepped up in the pocket and at least made about a half-yard stack instead of 4 or 5 yards. So a good day for Kirk Cousins. And his targets in this one, I think you could really tell that the Vikings weren't trying to get a whole lot of their playbook showing. I thought this looked like a preseason game, a very vanilla offense. And hopefully the same can be said about the defense. It's hard to really say when you aren't looking at the film and watching just the broadcast. It's hard to tell how unique the defense is playing. But the Vikings offense for sure looked very vanilla. But Diggs still had a fantastic game. 7 receptions on only 7 targets, 143 yards, no touchdowns. So you look at this and think, wow, basically, top tier elite game for Vikings wide receiver. You're talking franchise. Nah, but that fumble. On the very first drive of the game, he caught like a 60-yard pass or whatever, 39, whatever, and fumbled it. And Redskins recovered Case Keenum's ball, and there what it was. Unfortunately, the defense picked the offense up and stripped Keenum and got the ball back. But it's one where Stephon Diggs, this man needs to stop having a buttery box of popcorn before the game, and this fumbling issue needs to be fixed, because if that happens against the wrong time against one of these good teams, that's not so ideal. Another one is Dalvin Cook. I love how much he's involved in the passing game when we need him. I think he's probably the Vikings' 4th or 5th best receiver, and that's really not, that's a compliment, but it's supposed to sound a little bit better. I mean, last year, if you're looking at that depth, he was probably wide receiver 3, talent-wise, but in this year, we have Irv Smith, we have Bissy Johnson, you could even argue Kyle Rudolph is better, but the talent of Dalvin, being able to take these screens that looks like there's nothing there and turns them into 15-yard plays. It's so nice to see that threat out of the backfield that can run, that can pass. It's so great. Bissy Johnson still doing pretty good. Two receptions, 2 targets, 27 yards. Irv Smith 3 for 21. Kyle Rudolph 3 for 17. Then Madison's not used as much of a receiver. And Laquan Treadwell got 1 catch for a yard. Congratulations. Welcome to the NFL. So there we have it for the passing game. Running the football, a very fun day. And the team finished the day with 161 yards on 38 carries. Old school football is fun to see. 23 carries for Cook, he had 98 of those yards and a touchdown, where Madison had 13 carries for 61 yards. Madison, though, should have had about 100 yards to himself. He had so many penalty yardage, pulled back, seamlessly not super apparent in helping the run in those penalties, but just bad luck penalties that moved it back. That Madison had a really good game, especially the highlight of that 28-yard run on 3rd down to get him a 1st down on 3rd and long to keep the drive alive on that last drive of the game. So this running game is what teams are going to have to play on and hold the Vikings to under 100 yards. Or if we are getting that, the play action game is just too good at that point, and you just can't beat this team. This is one of the most balanced teams, you could probably say, historically But at the very most, right now, it's hard to say a team that can do both at such an elite level. You could say the Cowboys, you could say the Saints with Drew Brees. And no, not saying Teddy's bad, but this team is so good at doing both things. But going to the other side of the ball, you're looking at the Redskins, and going against the Vikings defense. Case Keenum should not have had a good game, but he really had a very solid day. He completed 12 out of 16 passes for 130 yards, no touchdowns, but he had some long drives. Then he gets hurt. And that was probably the best play of the game because Dwayne Haskins is horrible as of right now. I'm high on him. I think he could be like the next type of Teddy, but he needs to learn the playbook, and it shows. He's 3 for 5, 33 yards, and an interception. Looked like a nobody out there. And the Redskins absorbed 4 sacks. The Vikings defense, pass rush wise was fine. For the most part, it looked like some weird timed blitzes that were a little bit off. But our coverage was horrible. Rhodes played like a AAA, freshman college cornerback. That was brought in as a wide receiver, and they throw in a cornerback. He looked absolutely horrible. Trey Waynes didn't look good. Alexander was okay. Same to say about Mike Hughes. Safeties were fine. And a safety that has been really good this year, that hasn't made a single snap the last 2 weeks, Jaron Kearse needs to be on the field more, without question. I know he's more of a nickelback. When you have Mike Hughes and Mackenzie Alexander, that spot's kind of full, but he's too good of a player to be kept on the bench the whole game on defense. So free Jaron Kearse. Hashtag free Kearse in the comment section down below. We need this guy on the field when our other DBs are struggling. He's at least a change of pace that we need on the field, because Xavier Rhodes has been absolutely horrible this year. And Trey Waynes on a contract year, it's a position where a lot of guys take that step up and have one of their best years of their career. And that is not what's happening with Trey Waynes at all. I think both of those corners are absolutely expendable. Giving up those yards, of course. The Redskins do have a good receiver in Terry McLaurin. He's extremely fast. He's basically a much more polished version of Cordell Patterson. A ton of speed, extremely athletic, but he can do a little hitch route, and when your corners have horrible form and just can't take away that easy stuff away, that's what the Vikings have been doing the last couple of games. Even though this team won by 10 in this one, it was frustrating. This was one of them. Where, much like the Bears game, they give the easy stuff away and make it really easy. I thought McLaurin was going to set him up for a double move in the second half, and if Keenum was still in the game, maybe they went with that. But with Dwayne Haskins, he made our defense look okay at the end of the game. We got that free interception, and the yards went down. 130 yards for Keenum in the first half, down to 33. Dwayne Haskins is not it as of right now, and Keenum would have made this game a lot closer. So you would want this defense to show up in a time like that, and maybe it was vanilla. Maybe, obviously, we didn't have as much time to prepare, but Rhodes, week in, week out, giving up big plays. It's like he reverted back to a rookie. He keeps grabbing, giving up pass interferences, holds. He gives people wide open throwing lanes. This is not Mike Zimmer, the cornerback whisperer that we've seen the last couple of years. This is Leslie Frazier, play 10 yards off the ball and do your best type defense out of our corners, and it has to be fixed for the Vikings are going to compete with these good quarterback and good receiving teams. But I think we did good. It was really nice to see Adrian Peterson back, who, everybody wants to meme Tom Brady for being old, but Adrian Peterson in a much more physical position. 14 carries, 76 yards, 5.4 average, along with 29. Very, very good. It still reminds me of old school Peterson, where he's one broken tackle away from taking it all the way. So bravo for Peterson for still looking really, really good. Unfortunately, the Vikings do not have a need for him at running back. Otherwise, I would say, hey, can we trade a 6th-rounder for him so he can be on a competing roster? Because that'd be great to see. But Dalvin Madison, I will absolutely take that over Peterson, and I hope he can go somewhere and have a good team, because I think he still has a couple of years of football left in him. He just has that type of Wolverine DNA where he can twist his ankles, shatter bones, and be back in 2 weeks. So this guy is going to have a really good, successful end of his career, and looking at only 14 carries when he's averaging 5.4. And you could just run him twice on average and get a first down. But since there's no more passing threat in the second half, they had to pass the ball, and the Vikings took that away from him. So this was one where that Keenum injury really was probably the biggest play of the game. But the Vikings, give them credit, with that long 8-minute drive to end it, that would be hard for even a good quarterback to have a chance to come back when the offense can just put the step on the gas pedal and just go all the way down the field and make this a game where they had no more chance of winning. So this is one where, like I said at the beginning, this team has always not done good in prime time. This is a Thursday night game where it's even harder. You don't have as much time to prepare. No Adam Thielen, who's debatably your best player in offense, and still won by 10 points. So you have to take it. The frustration is there, but I gotta think this was a very dumbed down version of their offense and hopefully defense too. And this will be a very correctable game. Clean up some of those penalties, hopefully, and let's get it. Enjoy your rest, and let's go get them next week. See you guys next Josie Vikings video. See you guys then.